Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. God has given us unlimited treasures in His Word. Every time we open it, we can discover a new treasure or admire an old one. What will we find today? Let's dig in. Here's Carla Early with Treasure Hunt in the Word.
Have you ever been in a new situation and become overwhelmed by the fear of the unknown? So many things could go wrong. So many things may happen that you don't know how to handle or what to say. This is something I've struggled with all my life. The ultimate example of this kind of thing in the Bible is when the Israelites are on their way to the Promised Land. Yes, God got them out of Egypt and was feeding them in the desert. But what about that new land? They weren't soldiers. How would they overcome the people already living there? They weren't farmers. How could they grow enough food, starting out from scratch? They were slaves. They didn't know how to do these things. They weren't strong enough. In Leviticus 26, the Lord God addressed their fears. He told them that if they trusted and obeyed Him, then I will give you the rain in its season. The land shall yield its produce, and the trees of the field shall yield their fruit. Your threshing shall last until the time of vintage, and the vintage shall last till the time of sowing. You shall eat your bread to the full and dwell in your land safely. I will give peace in the land, and you shall lie down, and none will make you afraid. I will rid the land of evil beasts, and the sword will not go through your land. You will chase your enemies, and they shall fall by the sword before you. 5 of you shall chase 100, and 100 of you shall put 10,000 to flight. Your enemies shall fall by the sword before you. For I will look on you favorably and make you fruitful, multiply you, and confirm my covenant with you. You shall eat the old harvest and clear out the old because of the new. All those fears they had, the Lord could take care of each and every one of them, all the details. He had a plan that did not include their fear. He was in control. All those promises. And then the best promise was in verse 12 and 13. He said, I will walk among you and be your God, and you shall be my people. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, that you should not be their slaves. I have broken the bands of your yoke and made you walk upright. The same God that brought them out of slavery in Egypt would be with them, be their God, and transform them into His people who could hold their heads high. I love that last part of verse 13. I have broken the bands of your yoke and made you walk upright. God brought them out of Egypt into freedom. No longer would they have to carry a burden for someone else. They were free. But that didn't mean that they would be their own people. They belonged to God and always had. So in following and trusting God, they had nothing and no one to fear. He had brought them into freedom to walk upright. Obviously, that means not bent over carrying a burden, but standing straight, erect, with their heads held high, proud of who they were as God's people. But that word upright has another meaning. It means without sin. As a Christian, I am freed from the slavery of sin, just as the Israelites were freed from the Egyptian slavery. Jesus has saved me, broken the chains of sin so I could walk in freedom and righteousness. With that freedom comes peace, walking with God, being His, being free. Not free to be my own person, but free to be who He made me to be. The thing is, we can choose that freedom or reject it. The verses that follow the previous passage tell of the judgment that would come from disobedience and not trusting the Lord. The original generation listening to this chose disobedience and fear and ended up wandering in the wilderness until their death, never to enter the promised land and receive all the blessings of obedience and trust. Their children chose to believe and trust God and receive those promises. Down through the ages, we have that decision to make. Trust and obey, or fear and disobey. First and foremost, that decision needs to be to accept Jesus' salvation that He offers. But each day, as new situations present themselves, we must make the decision. I pray today you will decide to walk upright in the Lord, fully trusting and obeying Him in all things.
You can contact us at treasurehuntintheword@gmail.com. We'd love to hear the treasures God has given you through His Word. You can listen to other episodes at our website, which you can find in the description below. Thanks for listening, and remember, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.